Welcome to Oral Communication: Functions, Nature, and Process of Communication. We have our objectives. Number one, explain the nature and process of communication. Number two, understand the relationship of the functions of communication to everyday life. And number three, illustrate the process of communication. Lesson 1: The nature and process of communication. Communication comes in various forms, from the simple nodding of your head, stretching of your hands, raising your eyebrows, up to your daily conversations with your friends over the phone, constant exchange of text messages, and regular browsing in social networking sites. These are but some examples of how humans communicate their thoughts, feelings, ideas, and insights. This only signify that humans really exchange in communication. How will you react to the following pictures? Okay, believe it or not, your coming to your family is a great joy. Your first cry immediately after birth announced your arrival into this world. Afterwards, your mother understood that when you cry, you were hungry and gave you milk in response. Your face also expressed your feelings. As years passed by, you started pronouncing short words and responded by waving your hands or nodding your head, and most of the times laughing out loud. Today, you can act out, speak, and write to tell everyone what you think and feel. These are the ways you communicate. When you exchange ideas with someone or you send information to others, you do it in two ways. You either use words to say what you want to say, or you express yourself through gestures and facial expressions. Since then, people have the inherent need to communicate. Humans are social beings. They live to interact regularly with others. In fact, their endurance is due to their ability to express themselves and connect to one another and the world they live in. When you look back in the history of humankind, you will find that early man could not speak as you do today. Records show that people have used various communication techniques such as the use of symbols, gestures, sounds, drawings, and sign languages. By Little John 2002 as cited in Amudavili ND. Words and languages developed much later in human history. Over the years, communication has progressed tremendously. Language developed side by side with technology. Now, in the 21st century, we realize the power of communication in building relationships and the community at large. Hence, we see the importance of communication. What is communication and why do we communicate? Communication is a two-way process of connecting to both living and non-living things. It is also a means of sharing and exchanging messages, information, ideas, and feelings for mutual understanding. It is given by Gregorium JC 2015. Okay, so communication connects people and the world they live in. It is through communication that people are able to express their thoughts and ideas or convey information and messages through word of mouth, gestures and signals, signs, and others. People have always communicated with one another in various forms. Okay, we are going to further define communication using the two key terms stated above: message and understand. Okay, number one, communication is a message understood. Unless a message is understood, we cannot say that communication has taken place. Let us send a message to someone and say, where came first? The person who gets this message would wonder what it means, for the arrangement of the words does not make any sense. The message is sent, but the receiver does not understand it. Therefore, for communication to take place, we have to consider two conditions. First, there should be a clear message, and second, the message must be understood by the receiver for whom it is meant. Number two, communication is a social interaction through messages. Think of someone telling, it is very warm today. In this case, we are communicating what we experience. The weather being warm is what we feel or experience physically. In this scenario, we are sharing our feeling or experience with someone else. Thus, we may say that communication is a sharing of experience. In our society, we all interact with messages. Without interactions, a society cannot survive. Social interaction is always through messages. We discuss problems and arrive at solutions. We exchange ideas and interact with others. We transact and then we negotiate. In doing all of this, we use communication. Imagine a situation where we are not able to speak and interact with others, or think of a family living in the same house without speaking to each other or relating any form of message to one another. Such situation can be very lonely and problematic. Without communication, all forms of human relationship will vanish and die. Communication is therefore crucial in building and maintaining relationships. The communication process. There are also times when we fail to communicate adequately and experience misunderstanding or miscommunication. Why do you think these things happen? What are the ways to avoid them? We are sometimes misunderstood by the level of speech we use during conversation, by the volume or rate we talk with friends or acquaintances. We may sometimes be misunderstood by the non-verbal actions that we project or incorporate in our speech when talking face to face with people. Also, when we send text or chat messages, we are misinterpreted because those messages are often brief and devoid of emotion. Let us try now to consider the process of communication. How does communication takes place? Who are involved? What are processes are considered? By the understanding of communication process, we can also duly avoid misunderstanding or miscommunication. Our everyday transaction with people follow the communication process. As seen in the illustration below, communication begins with a speaker or source of communication, responds to a stimulus, and decide to encode or transmit it in the form of a message or a code through a particular channel or means of communication. The receiver decodes or interprets the message sent and responds accordingly based on his interpretation of the message. This response comes in the form of a feedback sent to the original source of communication, the sender. As the communication transaction continues, the sender and receiver may exchange rules until understanding is achieved. Barriers to communication sometimes block the transmission of the message, thereby creating misunderstanding. Through this process, we are able to understand that communication is a systematic, In the advent of technology, the exchange of information and messages in society has advanced and has been a subject of many studies. Okay, what is it? Functions of communication. Since communication is certain in our lives, it comes naturally and unknowingly. Communications serve as many purposes. The following are some of the many reasons why we humans communicate. Okay, first, why do we communicate? We inform, we misinform, we counsel, we sell, we clarify, we question, express, promote, buy, confuse, confirm, advise, teach, learn, persuade, reveal, accept, affirm, clarify, motivate, criticize, deny, counsel, and many others. From the beside table, we realize that communication serves many purposes, whether we at our home, in school, at work, or at play. People engage in communication. We are going to discuss this further in the next lessons. Okay, thank you so much of your time. God bless.